Hi everyone, my name is James Feeney. Welcome to or back to my channel. Today I wanted to hop on and do an update to my depth year announcement, and I said I would be back towards the end of December with more specifics on my goals and guidelines and sort of how I wanted to go about it, what I was hoping to get out of it. So I've taken some time and ruminated on different areas that I want to investigate and maybe spend less on, and how I want to cater what a depth year is to me. So I've formulated some stuff and written them down, and I'm going to take you through how I'm hoping to go through all of this in 2020. I know that it's common. Oh, and I have my coffee here, so. Oh yes, a coffee that we spent money on and went out for, but it's really good coffee, so we'll get into what's gonna happen there, or what will hopefully happen, or yeah. Light and sweet, New Orleans style. That's some good coffee. So, so instead of having categories that are banned, I know that that's something that I've seen a lot of people just saying that they aren't going to purchase a certain thing, and I think if I set really rigid guidelines that are confining in some way, that feel confining, I have a tendency to rebel against, say, like rules and authority when it just feels like it doesn't make sense, or when it's very restrictive. So having it be something that feels very rational and introspective and more from a place of that makes sense to me. So these are areas of, I'm calling them investigation. So I'm not completely writing them off. It would be nice if I were able to follow and not purchase any of the things I'm about to say, but I'm going to get into what it means to be an area of investigation. But first, and they're all a little bit different, how I'm going to investigate them and in what way for myself. But the areas that I am investigating are, and hoping not to purchase, or at least definitely have a drastic drop in, are decks. So tarot and oracle decks. I think that one is a given. It goes without saying. If anything, that's probably the biggest one, and I think that was like the one that would be the most obvious for anybody watching this video. So tarot and oracle decks. I have a category called tools. I'm counting that as, say, like things for my altar, spiritual tools, things like maybe like, I'm just gonna list some things that I already have, like cauldrons, drum, wands, crystals. Crystals are gonna go under tools, although I've been pretty good with crystals in the past couple months, but just anything that's of that sort of nature is under the category tools. And so that's an area of investigation. Books are a big one. I have so many books that I haven't even like cracked the cover, cracked them open. So that's an area of investigation. Accessories, so things like necklaces, jewelry, rings, all of that. Those sorts of things. Like, for the most part, when I say accessories, I mean jewelry, but just to cover the bases, I'm calling them accessories, and I am making that a different category than clothing. Clothing is a category. That's another area of investigation. And then we have unnecessary, like, food and drinks. And by that I mean like my coffee, or eating out when I'm alone. So this isn't meant to be restrictive, as in I mean to not eat out with friends and family and things like that. It's more so when I'm just being lazy and I'm home alone, and I don't make the effort to food shop, or I have food at the house and then I don't go through it and like make myself the meal. Instead, I like spend more money, eat out, and then eventually some of the food that was at home ends up being wasted, things like that. Or when I could just make a coffee at home. So that's something I'd want to investigate as well. So we have decks, tools, books, accessories, clothing, and unnecessary food and drinks. We have 6 categories, major categories here. And I felt like those were the biggest ones that came to mind when I thought about my spending, that wasn't entirely necessary, or unhealthy spending, I should say, extraneous unhealthy spending that's rooted in a place that is probably less than healthy as far as my mind goes, my psyche. And so there's a lot to investigate, I think, in each of these categories. I think so. I have specifics. I think that, sorry if there's some sound, family's downstairs, um, and I live at home, so there may be some noise. I thought that decks were pretty much their own category. I would say I'm counting tools in there, but tools for me aren't as big of an expenditure, and it's not one that I feel, but I'm grouping it in with the type of mindset that I connect to deck buying. So what I need to do in investigating, say, if I want a deck, is there's journaling about it. I'm not giving myself a specific, like, you have to journal this much or about these things, but I do have questions that I need to answer. Why do I feel I need this deck? What do I hope it will help me to do? Can I do that without the deck? What feeling does it evoke? What am I hoping it will assuage, fix, etc.? Like you go to the deck and you're hoping that tarot is a self-help tool. What needs fixing, and why do I think that this deck is going to be the thing to fix it? Do I already have a deck that fits what this deck is, essentially? So the category of what I'm hoping it to do, or the art style, or for client readings, do I have a deck that's already very similar? Essentially, I'm trying to break down what my behavior is, what kind of void or emotional need I am trying to fulfill with that purchase, and to really possibly make myself squirm a little bit in going through the process of investigating if a deck is for me, or a tool or something like that, something of the spiritual nature for myself, because I do tend to binge on those things and over purchase and purchase to great excess. And I know that there is a lot behind that, and what I'm hoping that they will ultimately do for me, or help me to accomplish. So there's a lot there. I think that's going to be one of the biggest areas. So journaling and answering those questions. And then also I'm setting a parameter where I have to wait 4 weeks from the discovery of when I find the deck to when I purchase it, so that any sort of feelings of impulse, or that novel idea that sort of makes it seem bright and shiny and new and wonderful have time to mellow. A lot of the time, there's been a couple impulse buys where I know that if I just sat on it a little bit and come back to it a few weeks later, that I probably wouldn't have felt as strongly or the same, and I would have saved the money and wouldn't have purchased the deck. So kind of impulse control in telling myself that I need to wait at least 4 weeks from whenever it is that I discover, like a minimum of 4 weeks before I purchase. So a month. Sorry, my dog's barking. So books, I have its own little category, and I would say books are a little bit similar but different. So again, journaling and the 4-week parameter are consistent for the book. For books, questions that I'm answering in journaling: do you have the time and true interest to start and finish this book? Because I have so many books lined up. I mean, is it something that needs to be purchased? Is it so great that it needs to be moved to the top of the list that I'm going to finish it before dozens of books that have yet to be read? Is it a new realm of study really necessary when so many are waiting? So this would be if the book were an area of study that is new, so it wouldn't be on a topic that I currently have anything on. So say I decided one day that I wanted to really dig into studying Socrates, and I have no books on him, and I wanted to buy that. Well, I have so many like topics of like shamanism and Taoism and so many things waiting. Is Socrates really that pressing, and is it just going to feel like one more brick on the wall that is constraining me as far as what I hope to like read and learn? What else? What do you hope this information will allow for? So I'm reading the book, and this is, I would say, primarily for nonfiction, which is the books that I buy. I've said that for nonfiction, for novels, which I read a lot of the time, I will just do what I do and read them in Barnes and Nobles on a couch while I sip my coffee in the evening on some evenings and take a picture of where I'm at and return. So I don't necessarily always purchase my novels and I don't feel the need to acquire them. I'm totally fine just reading them and then leaving them. Again, I can also do this at a library. Same for nonfiction, but I do feel the need to hold on to whatever is within the nonfiction, to have that information at my disposal and for my reference, which is why it's an interesting topic, which is why it's different. So yeah, what do I hope this information will allow for? Clearly, I'm turning to this book hoping to learn something that's going to help me, that I can practice, that I can do, that I'm excited about. What is it about that? Am I hoping that I will feel whole and complete? Is there a void? Am I not loving myself enough? Am I learning about a topic that's going to facilitate that? Am I learning about a topic that is going to help me to grow and build myself in a more tangible sense? What is this topic bringing to the table? And a follow-up question: can you do this? Can you do what this book might bring you without the book? If it's, say, a book about love and self-love, I'm using that, so it's an easy one to go for. But if that's what it's doing, do I have other means of fulfilling that need for myself with what I already have, or just with who I am at that given time, and then return to it potentially at a later time when I've made it through my books, or when it feels like a less pressing, immediate need. And you already have books similar to this one. This would be more so when it's a topic that I already have a lot of books on. Say, I have a bunch of books that I've been reading on shamanism, and I have a little list of them, and I've been making good headway there. But then I come across another one, and it looks really exciting. Do I have a book that's essentially the same thing? I mean, there is a lot of overlap I'm finding in these books on shamanism. There's definitely new and novel ideas, and some really diverge from the norm. But if it's just like a shamanism type handbook, does it really seem like it's going to be the one that's going to offer me a bunch of new information? Or do I have things already that essentially fill that space? So those are questions to ask there. For clothes and accessories, which I'm grouping together, although part of me wants to almost make accessories their own category, because they do feel different, but there is also this element of overlap that's unique. So again, I'm setting the journaling and 4-week parameter on these purchases. Is this a need or a want? So when it does come to clothing, for example, there are some needs. This is the one area where we cross over into the potential for it to be needed. Do I need, say, a new suit for an occasion and I don't have a suit? Did all of a sudden I run out of underwear? Am I without socks, or I don't have any dress socks? And I'm entering into something where I need more of them, or don't have them and now I need them. So there are times, or like a coat. So questioning if it's a need. And that one I would say is definitely more exclusive to clothing. I guess if you count accessories as like gloves and hats and things, then potentially those could become needs given the cold weather. But it's the first time we're entering a category where there's the potential for a need, and it's almost easy to rationalize something as a need when it's more of a want, because say I have that already, but I'm not so enthralled with what I already have because I've had it for so long. And this new novel version of it is something that I can rationalize as a need. So really asking myself that question and making myself answer it, what do you hope to gain or feel from this item? So a lot of what clothing and accessories do is allow, at least for me and for a lot of us, for me to express myself. I see like what I put on myself, what I wear, as a way for me to express how I feel, who I am. I feel like it tells a story, and it gives the world this idea of me that I want to put forth. So what is that feeling? Like today I'm wearing this. It's like a pajama-y type nice shirt, but it looks really cool and it's different, I think. And but like, what was I hoping, like when I bought that and like in wearing it? What was I trying to communicate? and could I have done that without purchasing that? Um, so what the goal of it, like what I was trying to make myself feel by wearing this, could I have felt that and found a way to feel that without the item? You look at it and you think it's cool and you'll look cool in it, but can you feel that way without it? And I think that that's something I need to answer, just because it does speak a lot more to validation and perception. And I think that that's something that I and a lot of people struggle with. And I would really like to at least understand it a lot better, and hopefully to have a more healthy relationship with um, my own self perception and building that. So, what else do we have here? Can you fulfill that need without the item? What feeling is driving you to the item? So, is there some like lacking currently that is making you want that thing? I feel like, I mean, a lot of people think of like retail therapy, which could apply to potentially all of these categories, but more so with clothing, I think there's like this feeling of inadequacy or lack of control or being down, and then wanting to. Sorry, I was the battery's low and I'm on my phone, so I'm just hitting the accepting the low battery so I can see myself in the viewfinder thing. But yeah, like what about it? In that sort of down feeling, what am I really doing? What is my purchase actual, like how am I rationalizing that? What is the feeling driving me to go out and purchase? And especially with that specific item. So then, like, say one time I'm feeling down and I'm really craving a new pair of boots, but then this time that I'm down and I really want this jacket. And maybe one is just like plain brown boots and this one's like a flashy jacket. I feel like there might be a different feeling based on the item itself and that the way that that speaks. So we have that, and I didn't write anything super specific for unnecessary food and eating out. I think that that's one that's going to be a little ambiguous and vague. I mean, we do need to eat food, and I don't necessarily want to cut back on the amount that I say go out with my family and friends and loved ones and experiences like that, or going out for drinks. These are all things that I don't think are out of control right now. What I do think could potentially just use some curving is the solitary, like when I'm alone and just choosing to eat out when I could probably and should just eat in. And I think maybe just doing small little entries, or if I do, maybe reprimanding my lazy self. And yeah, I guess I'll implement a small journaling in association with food. I also, in lieu of all of this, I would love to just track all of my purchases. Anything that I spend at any point, I wish that I'd done it this year, because then I would have a really good idea of like what a bad year looked like, and then I could really see like what the improvement was like and how much money was saved in a good year. But I just want to understand the spending habits. I want to have an idea of exactly how much I do spend. So just that financial responsibility, taking responsibility and feeling accountable of like these resources, and how that reflects, and what is what is the potential to come from using those things properly? What can I then, having say, I mean, in the very tangible sense, the resources, what can that allow for me to do? Can I go on a trip? Can I invest in something or do something that I couldn't previously do because I was not making smart decisions? I'd really like to track the expenses in that way for that purpose. And of course, there's like the deeper purpose of me just wanting to understand myself better, who I am. These are areas that are tougher, and these are tendencies and habits that come out of unhealthy relationships with the self, I believe. At least for me, that's, yeah, and I think for most of us that's the case. So you just, I'd like to have a healthier, more fluid, I don't want to call it reciprocal because I'm just one person, but yeah, reciprocal sort of relationship with myself, where I don't feel like there's this part of me that just wants to consume, and wants to satiate these really unnecessary feelings and needs and things that are more unhealthy, negative, yeah, so I just really like to do that for me so that I can hopefully grow as a human being. And I do plan on doing updates, so stay tuned for those. I'm not sure how often I'll do them or what they will consist of. I'm sure I'll kind of get into a habit of the exact sort of categories or ways that I go about an update. Maybe we'll do them monthly, quarterly. I can't imagine them being fewer than quarterly, but yeah, I hope that that was helpful and maybe you guys got some inspiration from that. If you're looking forward to the updates coming from me or you're on your own depth year and want to let me know about it, please do. I'd love to. Until next time or until the next update or, well, just a video. Bye, guys.